The next project is a couple end tables and then a coffee table. We made a TV stand out of metal and wood, and my wife liked the way it looks, so I'm going to do it again with the coffee table and the end tables. This time I made plans though, and I got down here sitting on one of them. I got a cut list, so hopefully that'll help not mess anything up. We'll see how it goes, but let me start cutting. There are the two end tables. That's well my waist. Not too bad. I think that piece over there is maybe 7 inches or so. So not a bad deal. That's the extra. So I ordered a little extra. And here's the coffee table. So let me clean this up a little bit and then we'll get the welder set up, see what we can get up to. Got everything ground and ready to start welding. So when I made the plans for this on SketchUp, I kind of rushed through it, and then as I was finishing, I realized I didn't account for the open end of these. So I hadn't printed out, it wasn't complete, but I weighed the time benefit. I'm not really good at SketchUp. So in order for me to change the length of these, so I could miter a corner here, it wouldn't have been as efficient as just, cutting a bunch of 1-inch squares, sticking them in here and weld them closed at the end. So, and on top of that, it's a lot faster for me to cut, 90-degree cuts instead of 45 miters. So that's kind of a problem that I'm going to have to deal with eventually on this contraption, but so far so good. I'm not upset about it. It's just another thing I got to do. Just going to do a couple tack welds on the whole thing, and then I'll go back afterwards and do a finish weld all the way around once I get it square. I have the top and bottom all welded together. Now I have to grind the welds down so I can weld the uprights that connect the two. I still haven't figured out what I'm going to do with those holes. I gotta fill them because it's just going to look terrible. I'm not really sure yet. I'll find something, plug them up. I'll probably regret not fixing the plans and doing the miters, but that's alright. I'm done welding except for whatever the end caps I'm going to do on that. This is the top, and the idea is I'm going to put wood boards here, but I want to put a cubby in here for the remote controls and stuff for the TV. So that's the plan. A lot more to go. Now we got to grind the end tables. So this is what the finished thing's going to look like. But like I said on the other thing, I had this issue, so I got this open whatchamacallit. But I knew on the top part of this, I fixed it. So on the bottom part, I'm going to have an opening there and there, you know, like that opening. But on this part, I measured it different, and I was able to fix it by doing this. So I got the legs for, you know, these legs go here, and yeah, if I weld them in like that, everything will be just right. And I'll have an opening up and down. Well, the down doesn't matter because it gets here, and up doesn't matter because it's covered by the top. So I did it right once out of all these things. And bam, all done. Well, not all done. I still got to fill those holes in. And then I'm not sure what I'm going to do for like tabs to, you know, come up and out so I can screw from the bottom to the wood for the top. But I got to go to Home Depot to get the wood, so maybe I'll spend their stupid prices on angle iron and just get some 3/4 angle iron, tack it on, and drill a hole in it. We'll see. But I got to grind the next table and weld that one together. Done for today. I figured out a plug for those. I got some angle iron, 1-inch angle iron laying around the shop, so I cut some squares and stuffed it in there. It's the first one I made a little bit too big, so I had to beat it in with a hammer, and it was, you know, and then weld around it, and then that one I made too small. But it works. It's just going to be a lot of grinding to get it nice. That's it for today. I'm hungry. It's time for dinner. Several days later, thanks to the Waco thing showing up on Netflix, the show, I got some dead tree carcasses and the stain. This is what I'm going to use to cut up the, I'm going to cut it up, drill some holes in it, and use that for attaching the dead tree carcasses to the table and the end tables and this coffee table. Some paint and stain, or primer for the metal. What else? Oh, these are the feet I'm going to use. I'm going to weld in some nuts and then just screw these into the nut. I got all the caps welded into the holes, and now it's grinding time. Many hours later, and these things are all ground. Got quite a bit of grinding dust, but it burned up all the battery. Well, not burned them up, but killed all the batteries in the grinder. It was like 11 amp hours per table, and I ran out after 2 tables. So the batteries took too long to charge, so I did that whole thing with that stupid Harbor Freight one. It's a good grinder, and they're cheap, like 12, 14 bucks or something like that, but they vibrate, so my hands are all tingly. Next part, I've got, so I gotta set up something to do the feet here, and I'm not sure how I'm gonna do it, so give me a minute. This is what I got so far. So I'm going to take these, it's just a nut welded on a washer, and run this bolt in here, and that'll be a temporary foot. Stick that in the leg, weld what I can, and call it good. So I'm going to do a bunch more of those, and see how it goes. I have all the feet welded on there. I had to cut one of them off. I melted the nut right onto the bolt, but that's just because I'm terrible at welding. And then these, are pretty good. Happy with that. Now I gotta clean this off and set up to drill a whole bunch of, I got that piece of 3/4 plate, and I'm gonna screw it or weld it onto here so the top can, you know, so the wood can have something to screw to. The next step, I'm gonna turn this into a whole bunch of little pieces, and I'm gonna drill holes in it, and that's what I'm gonna weld to the frame to screw to the wood. Take your cheap, super cheap Harbor Freight calipers. You don't want to do this with some Mitutoyos or anything like that. Maybe some Starretts, but Harbor Freight's the best. And you basically use it like dividers. So, you know, it's 375 or 750, so half of it's 375. Turn it around, and I don't know if you can see, but just up against the edge, and then you use it to scratch it. The right way to do it would be to use Dykem paint and paint the thing, because then the scratch shows up a lot better, but I don't have any, and we're in quarantine still, so there's not a lot of places around here where I can get some, but this will work. So basically just marking the center line so I know where to drill the best I can. It's not working so great, but good enough. Now I'll set these up to, I think I'll just go square, you know, set up to 3/4 and let's see. So then we could take this and do the same thing. That'll be the cut line. And then we'll just drill the hole in the middle. It's not working perfectly, but I think it's good enough. You know, you're not going to see any of these. So I'll just do this 100 more times and then start drilling some holes. Yeah, I don't know if you could see this. Yeah, you can. Okay. So my terrible scribing, but it's good enough. All right, so now the idea, let's see if you can see that. Okay, so I'm going to do that. I got that center line, so I know where here. I didn't want to do a whole nother set of lines, you know, so that I'd center punch on the cross. But now I'm just going to do that all the way down, so when I bring it over the drill press, I can see right away and just start punching the holes real easy. Can you kind of see? Yeah. Okay, so just like this. And what this is, just got a spring in it, and you push and it clicks, so it makes a better dent. That's all. I'm not going to make you watch me do all this. Okay, so let's see how this works. So it works, it's just slow. I'll be back in a minute. The next step, I guess, I'm just going to grind these shiny, make it easier to weld, and it's probably easier to do it when it's all together before I cut them all up. Shit. Now if I do that, I'm going to grind off my lines. So I can grind one side. Yeah, we'll just grind to one side, and then we'll deal with it. There's a couple companies that make a table saw or a bandsaw like table conversion for this thing, and I don't need it. Now I do need it. So this doesn't have a stay on button, so I think that that kit, and I might buy one, has that has something to keep this thing on. Not a bad pile, but I look like I had a stripper grinding on my freaking leg. That's all right. All right, so now I gotta. I don't know. I don't know if I need to really do any kind of deburring. I might just grind them after I weld them. It might be easier because then I don't have to try and hold this little thing while I'm grinding. Got all the tabs welded on. That was kind of a project. I messed up a little bit here. This is where that little cubby's gonna go, and I didn't space them out properly, but it should be okay because the cubby goes from here, I think, somewhere around here to right here. So, but I did better on this, on the upside. Other than that, that's about it. So that's it for today. It's dinner time. And we'll be back tomorrow. Have all the tabs ground down, so now it's time to start cutting some boards. I screwed up my print, so I gotta be very careful here. And then, so I need 6 3/4 for one, and then 6 3/16 for the end tables. And these are 8-inch boards, so they're 7.5. So I got to figure out which side I need to cut off. And then the next thing that's kind of an issue is Home Depot loves to put frickin' staples in their boards. So I got to make sure I get all that out. But other than that, moving along. Not too bad. Got all the staples out. I'm going to kind of date myself here, but 25 years ago, I worked for a mechanic for a couple summers when I was a kid. And he had a pair of these pliers, and I'd never seen them since. And it's just they're duckbill pliers, Knipex. There's a part number if you care. And they're fantastic for this type of thing because they're well machined, well made. Whatever. There you go. I have all the boards cut to length and width, the 2 end tables, and then there's a coffee table. Now I have to cut these notches out, and then there's some more on this one. I gotta cut that big notch out and then the little ones. The big one is for the cubby, so the remote controls have somewhere to go. And I kind of have a problem, and I knew this was going to be an issue. Home Depot boards are super flat, but we're in the hopefully the end of the Rona, so I didn't want to drop $600 on quality wood for these, so I'm just going to do this for now, and then later this summer I'll remake these tops, because I mean all of this wood was $45 or whatever, so it's not a big deal. I don't know if you can hear the screaming next door. The damn kids have a trampoline and they're acting a fool. So this is a perfect example of measure twice, cut once. I wish I was born in a country that used the metric system. These tables are 19 inches wide. So you get on the calculator, 19 divided by 3, 6.33. So 0.33 is not really a fractional measurement, so the closest thing was 3125, which is 5/16. Well, like an idiot, I cut these at 6 3/16, not 6 5/16. So I got this nice gap. And fortunately, one of the cutoffs from the other one fits pretty good in there. So we'll just call it a design feature. And I was gonna make this out of walnut, you know, just to have a real light and then a dark, but the stain we're using is a pretty dark stain, so I don't know how well it would show up. And I only have one piece of walnut that's long enough for that. So it's gonna be pine. Like I said, I'm not too worried about it, but I didn't do a real good job measuring out for that. I kind of went a little overboard. I did a little bit better on this side, but not quite. But a woodworker I am not. I just have the tools. So I'm gonna cut some more and we'll keep going. End of day 527. I don't know how long we've been doing all this crap. I got all the sanding done, and because I screwed up that measurement, I'm gluing those together. So I got a whole bunch of glue ups going. That's all the big clamps I have. So this one kind of went a little hokey, but that's it for today. And then tomorrow will be stain this and paint the frames, primer and paint. I don't know if I'll get primer and paint done tomorrow. I might have to do the paint the next day. We'll see. I don't know how long that primer takes to dry. That's it. Primer's done. The this primer, what the hell? This primer is very, very runny. I don't know if it's mostly paint thinner or what, but there's a lot of runs on there. And we're about halfway done with the staining. I think we're gonna do another coat, try and get a little bit darker. So be back in an hour to paint, and we'll see how it goes. All right, the painting is done. The staining is mostly done. Pretty uneven, but we'll see how it looks once it's all put together. If we gotta put another coat on it, that's fine. I just gotta cut these things down and put them together. All done, finished. The finish doesn't exactly match. You can't really tell. This one's a little bit lighter, but that's it. And on this one, I got the cubby here for the remote controls and stuff. I probably should have made this a little bit bigger because you can kind of see a gap front and back. I mean, the size is right, but because it's not perfect, it's messed up, but whatever. All this is going to get replaced with better wood eventually after the Rona's all over with. Other than that, that's it. That's all I got.